In a land where mountains rose like sleeping giants and forests stretched endlessly toward the horizon, there lived a boy with a burning dream. From the moment he could walk, he carried inside him one desire: to become a great hunter. He dreamed of returning from the forest with food for his people. He dreamed of hearing his name spoken with pride, of standing tall with respect instead of sinking under shame. Every morning, he strapped a bow across his back, filled his quiver with arrows, and marched into the woods. His arms were strong, his eyes were sharp, and to anyone watching, he seemed destined for success. But appearances can deceive. The cycle of failure, day after day, the boy entered the forest, and day after day he returned empty-handed. His problem was not strength nor courage, it was his wandering focus. Whenever a rabbit darted across his path, he would run after it. Before he could get close, the beating of wings distracted him, and he would shoot at a bird instead. Then, while his attention was scattered, a deer would vanish silently into the shadows. By the time he returned to the village each evening, his hands were empty and his heart was heavy. At first, the villagers only chuckled softly, but soon their laughter grew bolder. "A hunter who chases everything," they said, "catches nothing." Those words cut deep. They echoed louder than the howls of wolves at night. The boy tossed and turned on his mat, asking himself, was it true? Was I born to fail? The weight of shame grew heavier with each failure. Even his bow seemed heavier in his hands. The old hunter's wisdom. One evening, as the boy sat alone by the fire, head hung low, his eyes burning with unshed tears, an old man approached. He was the elder hunter, a man whose beard was as white as mountain snow and whose back was bent by time. Though age had slowed his body, his eyes still burned like fire. Wisdom radiated from him. The old man sat beside the boy. For a long time, he said nothing. Only the crackle of fire filled the silence. Finally, in a calm and steady voice, he spoke. "You do not fail because you are weak. You fail because your eyes wander. A hunter who aims at everything hits nothing. But one who fixes his gaze on a single target never misses." Then, without another word, the elder rose and walked away. Those words sank deep into the boy's soul. That night, as the village slept, he repeated them again and again. Aim at one, hit one. The turning point. At dawn, the boy rose with new resolve. He stepped into the forest, its mist curling like smoke between the trees, the scent of pine thick in the air. Almost immediately, distractions tested him. A rabbit darted across his path. He resisted. A bird swooped so low, he could almost touch its wings. He let it pass. Each distraction was a battle, each temptation a storm. His instincts screamed to chase, but he whispered to himself, "Not this time." Hours passed. Hunger gnawed at him. Doubt whispered, "You will fail again. You will return empty-handed." And then he saw it. A deer, tall and graceful, stood in a clearing, its muscles tense, its ears flicking. The boy crouched low, his breath slowed, his fingers tightened on the bowstring. For the first time, the forest seemed to hold its breath with him. No birds, no rabbits, no whispers of doubt, only the deer. He released. The arrow flew, slicing through the air and struck true. For a moment he could not move. Then, with trembling steps, he approached. The deer lay still. His first true victory. He had done it, not by luck, not by strength, but by focus, from mockery to respect. That evening, he returned to the village carrying food. The same villagers who had mocked him now stared in silence. Their laughter was gone. Respect filled their eyes. "How did you succeed?" they asked. The boy answered simply, "I stopped chasing everything. I chose one goal and gave it all my strength." The forest as a teacher. From that day on, the forest became more than a place of survival. It became his teacher. At first, his discipline wavered. His eyes still flicked toward birds. His ears still perked at the rustle of small creatures. But each time, he pulled himself back. He remembered the elder's words. He remembered the deer. The forest revealed its lessons. The strongest trees were not the tallest, but those that endured storm after storm, standing firm when others fell. The river carved valleys not by sudden violence, but by steady, relentless flow. Even fire, wild and dangerous, only gave life when contained and directed. Focus, he realized, was nature's greatest power. Weeks turned into months. His arrows struck true, not because his arms grew stronger, but because his mind grew sharper. The boy who once failed became known as the hunter who never missed. The real victory. But deep inside, he knew the real victory was not the deer, nor the food, nor the respect. The true victory was mastery over himself. Years passed, his hair grew streaked with gray, his shoulders carried the weight of experience. One evening, he sat once more by the fire. But this time, younger hunters gathered around him, their eyes bright with hunger and restlessness. "Tell us," they asked, "what is the secret? Is it strength? Is it speed? Is it cleverness?" The hunter looked into the flames, their light dancing in his weathered eyes. He smiled gently. "No," he said, "strength without focus is wasted. Speed without focus is reckless. Cleverness without focus is scattered. But focus turns weakness into strength, failure into victory, and effort into success." The fire crackled. The younger hunters leaned closer, hanging on every word. In their eyes, he saw himself, the boy who once chased everything and caught nothing. Now, he was living proof of what discipline and focus could achieve. The lesson for us. And so the story is not just about a hunter, it is about all of us. How often do we, like the boy, chase too many things at once? Dreams, distractions, goals, temptations, only to return empty-handed. How often do we scatter our energy, moving in every direction yet arriving nowhere? The hunter's story reminds us, discipline is not about chasing every path. It is about choosing one and walking it with all your heart. Focus turns effort into success. Patience makes that success endure. When you feel overwhelmed by all the opportunities, all the choices, all the noise of life, remember this: a hunter who chases everything catches nothing, but one who fixes his gaze on a single target never misses. So ask yourself, what is the one target you will give your whole heart to? Because the power of focus can transform your weakness into strength, your failure into victory, and your life into a story worth telling. If this story touched your heart, remember, success is not about chasing everything. It is about choosing one path and walking it with unwavering discipline. One story, one lesson, one focus.